Is that real? Okay. Okay. It is kind of weird at that angle. Like, it looks the same to me, obviously, but I, like, feel weird on your behalf, right? Right, like, doesn't this side of the screen look taller because it's closer to you? Right, you all perceive this, right? Yes, well, I mean, that's how I hear perspective works. I don't actually perceive things.
To be fair, we are in the relatively same arrangement. We're just facing.
Oh yeah, so like if you were already
you know
like,
how we had all the circle tables.
Yeah, I guess that was also pretty bad.
Johnson came in here and was having none of it, so this is what happens.
This is what happens.
Because we were gonna do the rows again, but
Yeah.
she was like, she gave up like halfway, and she's like, yeah, just put diagonals.
The diagonals are kind of a vibe. But by the way, because you're in different locations now, this means I don't know any of your names again. Because I was doing location based. Problem set 1 is due tonight. My impression is we did very close to all of it in class. As is common with these matters, there's a flurry of basically technical support related emails that come in. That stuff like kind of doesn't matter, so if you have a technical support related error, you should avoid feeling stress about it. The stress is more counterproductive. There is nothing that's wrong with your computer that I can't fix, but that doesn't mean that I can fix it while I'm going between classes or something, right? So I might have to think about it for 6 hours and be like, oh, I forgot to close VS Code and open it again, which is like the most common thing. You will have to use while loops or be extremely clever. You are encouraged to be extremely clever, but you are probably more encouraged to just use while loops and get it done on the painting assignment. Because this happens every year, do you want to be very clear that specifically on Carol Painting, one .py file must be open in VS Code. You must be able to change the world file, which is very annoying to do. You click the button and navigate through your file system and all this stuff. Or you can make your own house by clicking, right? And the same program must be able to paint houses of different sizes. I made some effort to demonstrate this with Carol Newspaper, and those recordings are present, where we used cling to left wall was one of the techniques we used, right? Cling to left wall is quite similar to what you will need to do on Carol Painting. It's good to know how to use while loops. Okay, I believe there are sections on Wednesday and Thursday this week. Does that sound right to all of you?
Sounds right.
If you are not currently attached to a section or you have a scheduling conflict with your section, please reach out to Professor Jed Rembold immediately. You may copy me or not, depending on whether you want it to be my problem or not, right? Next Monday, which is 10/20, so 178 hours from now, the next problem set is due. I don't know if you think in hours. I stopped thinking in days because some nights you stay up late and then your days are different sizes, right? So 178 hours from now, problem set 2 is due. There's one Carol assignment. You will sort of know how to do the Python assignment at the end of the day today, but you'll at least have the whole weekend to work on it. I believe, I'd have to take a look, I believe there's an extra credit option on that assignment for students that don't have hobbies. That extra credit assignment is a good example of how in-depth these things can go. So I have suggested at various points in time that, well, the goal of this class is to get you up to the point where you can write a 500-line Python program. There is nothing in this class that cannot be written in one line. If you ask the quad TAs who don't have hobbies how to write things in one line, they might be more interested in helping you, right? I had a Python script I was working with yesterday, and I had a compelling reason to convert it into one line, and I did so, and then it solved another problem I was having, right? So sometimes that's a useful thing to do. That is only a challenge problem. You should not try and write short code rather than correct code unless you want to. It's sometimes called code golf, because fewer lines, you get a lower score in golf. Any golfers? No golfers. No golfers and no NASCAR. I guess we're all fans of chess?
Oh, yeah.
Not beating the allegations today. Okay. Are there any homework questions we would like to go over as a class? Even if you have an individual question, if you are willing to show it to the class, it is highly likely someone else has it, and I will go over it. But I will not dox anyone. You can send me code in Discord. I will pretend I don't know who you are. I'll video mute while I open it. Okay. Most common errors I've seen so far are there's been a combination of the sort of indentation errors. The sort of thing to look out for that, if I open, do I have any Python files? Okay, here's hi.py. This is visible? Okay. So, can I import Carol here? I can probably import Carol here. Import Carol. Okay. Def main move. I'm pretty sure this doesn't work. Right? I think we know that. You get an expected indented block. This is the easy case. You have to indent it all. But we've frequently indented with 4 spaces in this class, and you don't actually have to do that. Which means this code still works, even though there's a single space there. That's really weird. The problem I was running into, I was writing Python last night instead of sleeping. I did this a few times. Let's see. And basically what happened is actually I had a bunch of lines, like turn left. I don't know. When I wrote code like this, what happened is when I went to save the program, I accidentally deleted 1 space in this line, and it broke everything. And it just doesn't quite look different enough. The way I've encouraged us to look out for indentation is to use find replace to look at your indentation. So I did, let's see, find, I'm going to look for 4 spaces. And so I can see there's not always 4 spaces. And this happens, for example, if you press tab. I guess tab works for me. I wonder how I can get a tab in there. I don't know. There's probably a way to get something other than spaces in there. So just look out for that. And this, again, was from edit find, or you can do Control F and look for your spaces. Whoops. This indentation is also important within if statements. If facing north. I don't know. Do we think that's it? Is that one? Turn left. Move. And once again, we have to look out for the spaces here. I think another thing, and I did not specify this, if you put 5 spaces here after using 4 spaces earlier, I think that also breaks everything. Oh, maybe this is allowed. Is this allowed? Haha, we are not lawbreakers. Okay, so it only has to be consistent within blocks, but if I go back to 4 right here, I get a red squiggle instead of a yellow squiggle, and then this code will explode. Just look out for that. Everything breaks if you lose the colon, of course. That's what to look out for. Okay. Today, I'm going to introduce more elements of Python that were sort of absent in Carol. Why were they absent in Carol? I think some of you discovered this. Carol cannot count. Carol does not know about 1 or 2 or even 7, my favorite number, right? Why can Carol not count? Because Carol is a metaphor. Metaphors can't count, right? But Python can count. Python can do arithmetic. And throughout the course of the term, we're going to do things that look an awful lot like arithmetic, but are also computer science. So an example of that is converting an image to grayscale is an arithmetic operation, even though we don't necessarily perceive it that way. We just see the color vanishing from an image. So I'm going to do if, elif, and else, which is sort of a more sophisticated form of conditional branching that is, for me, it was useful on Carol checkerboard, which is sort of the challenge Carol problem. I'm going to go over some of the arithmetic operators, but not too much. And then I'm going to talk about single and double equal sign, which is a common sort of thorn of the side in the side of people writing programs, including experienced people that write programs, because I think in our mind we just think of them both as equals. I have taken to calling them single equals assignment and double equals equality. And then lastly, we will go over the return statement, which is my favorite statement in Python. I use it for everything. The most pernicious errors, which usually come in weeks 10 through 14 of the term, are almost always related to students omitting return statements. And this is unsurprising to me because we sort of start the term with Carol, which does not return anything ever, because Carol's a metaphor and metaphors can't return books to the library, right? So I'm going to emphasize the importance of return today, and then we're going to be happy about it. Okay. I want to show you an example of what I think is something that might be useful to you. I'm going to put both of these inside of VS Code, which I think I just closed for no reason, which is not necessarily the most productive use of my time. And I want to show you an example of how you can sort of create the illusion of counting just with if and else statements. So I'm going to create this function, procedure, whatever, called check move. And what it does is it places a checker on every other square. And I can use check move in the same places I would use move. So I'm going to write it, and we'll just do some examples of how to use it. So I'm going to get rid of these. Actually, I can leave them, right? Let's write check move. And so the way I'm thinking of this is, if I want there to be a beeper on every other square, I simply check if there's a beeper present. Is that right? Beeper's present? Is it plural? Beeper's present? If there are beepers present, that means there's a beeper on my current square. So I'm going to move to the next square and then do nothing. And then else, which is the sort of negation of beepers present. So if there's no beepers present, if I'm on a square for which there's no beepers, I know I moved onto that square, which means I know there's a square, a beeper in the previous square. So I'm going to say, I'm going to move, and then I'm going to put beeper. Yes. Okay. And so I'm going to do both of these things. I am also going to change all of these moves to check move. This is quite small. Is that font on that screen an okay size?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do please keep me posted. I'm going to show us one VS Code trick. I hate this, whatever this thing is, and I'm pretty sure it's called the minimap. And I don't really know. Let's see. Editor, layout, appearance, minimap. Oh, it's too late. I can't right-click it. It's gone now. Do we know how to get it back? View, appearance. Oh, by the way, there's lots of things in here. So, like, maybe you don't want whatever breadcrumbs are. They're gone. Hope I didn't need them. Was anyone hungry? Anyone recently had any panko encrusted macaroni and cheese?
I wish.
Yeah, well, you're an adult now and you can cook. You're all powerful. That's not true. You're about as powerful as everyone else, actually. Okay. So first, let's form a hypothesis of what we think this is going to do. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to check move. It's going to see that there are no beepers present. So it will not say if beepers present move. It will do the else. So it will move and then put a beeper. That's what I think is going to happen. But actually what I think is going to happen is it's going to break. So I'm going to give Carol infinity beepers just because we're friends. Okay. Let's use a smaller grid. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and press play. And I think what's going to happen is, let's see. So I think we're going to check move. So I think I'm going to move and put a beeper because there's no beepers present. Then I'm going to turn left, so I'll be facing north. Then I'm going to check move. I am on top of a beeper, so I'm just going to move, and there will not be a beeper here. Then while I'm facing north, I'm going to turn left. Turn left. Oh, so I'll be facing this way, but I'll still be on this square. Sort of position 2 by 2 or something, right? Then I will check move. There, I think, will be a beeper present there, so I will move and not put a beeper. So I will end up here, and there will be beepers, I don't know, on one of the diagonals. I lost track. Okay. Incredible. Anyways, This could be a very large hint for the checkerboard assignment. There's no real way of knowing that, right? What happens if we do while front is clear? Check move. I think I'm only going to do this one. I'm just going to move while front is clear. Okay. And what did I do that's not allowed? Oh my gosh, my window's still open. Okay, so I'm going to destroy this. We're sending the window to the shadow realm. And I'm even going to destroy this one. I'm going to click a bunch of trash cans over here. See this? Okay, they're going away. Okay. Now that everything is in the shadow realm, I'm going to Carol run again. Or I'm going to VS Code run, play, whatever. I'm just going to go ahead and give Carol infinity beepers because we're friends. Always gas up your friends. If they ask for infinity of something, just give them that many, right? What do you need it for? Okay, now I'm going to press play. Okay, Carol is sort of sauntering across the floor, dropping beepers from time to time. Anyways, this is the usefulness of if-else. Something fun to do. Here's a great question. What happens if I put move? So this seems like no matter what you do, you move, right? So maybe we can just put the move out here. And then we just say if no beeper is present, we put a beeper. Is this the same thing? Well, probably not. That's why I'm asking the question, right? But the core difference here to conceptualize here is I'm moving before I'm checking if there's beepers present, right? So what will this do? This will do something slightly different. Well, first it will load at the exact same speed, then it will do something slightly different. Oh no, I didn't give Carol infinity beepers. Just kidding. Psych. Okay, I'm gonna try and get it to work. Oh, it's a disaster. Okay. I should get a mouse. I'm clicking a lot. You notice that? And I was trying to use my left hand. Okay. This is different, right? We see the difference here? Okay. Well, that's boring. Okay. I hope we had fun with that. Okay. So, we mostly use if and else with Carol. Some things to emphasize, indentation matters a lot, right? I cannot write put beeper here. The indentations must continue at least this indentation level until we reach the else block. We can demonstrate all of this quickly. So that's banned. Invalid syntax, right? We can't double indent the second line. That's banned. It's too much. We can put an if statement in here. That's allowed. And then the if statement correspondingly must have the colon and the new line. So that is allowed. That does pop up. Oh, can I even close it? Quick. It's gone? Okay. So just always look out for your indentation rules. There must be an indented block following a colon block. And then depending on whether you want all of those statements to run conditionally, so based on some if or based on some while, you may or may not want to put something at the same indentation level or the deeper indentation level, basing on the conditions. So I would say, how do you do comments? Left as an exercise for students. What is the difference between indenting or not indenting the move after the if facing north block? I think that's interesting to think about, and I would put that in Discord if I remembered how to do that, but I don't. Okay. Any questions on else? If you go to the store, let's see, no, well, okay, go to the store. If yogurt is under $7, buy yogurt, else buy, I don't know, whatever you buy instead of yogurt. What's your favorite breakfast food? Anyone have a favorite breakfast food? We're all breakfast eaters, right? You break your fast, right?
Sometimes.
There's the same amount of time every day. Okay.
We just went over the fact that some days are shorter.
Based on the amount of sleep that you get.
Yeah.
Which is why you count instead of hours, instead of days. We did just go over that.
We did just go over this. That's true. I was just telling lies. Okay. Here's an example of elif. When do you usually use elif? If there's a special case. So, is 0 positive or negative? I don't know, right? But we can do this. So I can check the sign of a value. I can check to see if x is less than 0, and then it's negative. Or if x is greater than 0, then it's positive. And then I can also print 0. Let's just check a few values. So I'm going to sign check 10. I'm going to sign check. Anyone have a favorite negative number? We'll do minus 21, because that's what I typed by accident. I went for the minus 1, and I got the 2 by accident. That's fine. Then we'll sign check 0. And now I'm going to run this, and what's going to happen? Form your hypothesis. But hopefully not too bad, right? We expect to see positive, negative, and then 0, right? So I'm going to run this. Positive, negative, 0. Right. What happens if I don't have the else block? So I'm going to put comments here. No, I'm just going to delete it. Okay. In this case, you just don't see anything for 0 at all. And if you just have an else here, then that turns 0 into a positive number, which might not be what you intend to do. Okay? I don't use elif pretty much ever, but some people like it, yeah.
So using elif without an else still implies a third option that it's just not being documented?
It's the same as, let me show you why I don't use them. I think of it as the same as this, which is much weirder.
Else.
Is that true? Let's check that. Right? So really all elif does is this, which is going to look weird, and then it removes these indents, which I'm holding down Shift and Alt, and then you can click a block and indent over. I feel like that was more exciting and there weren't a lot of oohs and ahs. Okay, so I have my mouse. I'm controlling it with my right hand. I press down Shift, and then I press down Alt, and then I can highlight blocks. See, this is fun and exciting. You do not have to retype your code if you mess up the indentation. You just have to remember to use Shift and Alt. And that still works, right? Okay. Anyways, yes, but specifically the reason I don't use elif is I have never once remembered it's actually part of the language, so I just write it like this every time. I think I had actually taught this course more than once before I found out about elif, which is interesting because it was in the textbook the entire time. Do you all know about the textbook?
We have one.
We have one?
Yep. Do you want to know more about the textbook?
Not particularly.
That was kind of my line of thinking. I have some of them in my office, I think. They also might be in Java instead of Python. I haven't checked. Would you look at that? We got a check mark. Is that valid Python? Hold on. Is this allowed? That's cool. Yeah, it's special. It's Python's most specialist angel. Okay. This is more relevant the further you get into computer science, but for whatever reason, division is approximately 1 billion times harder than everything else. So addition, super easy. Subtraction, super easy. Multiplication, not that hard for computers. Much harder than addition and subtraction. Division, basically impossible. In fact, it's so impossible there's not one widely agreed upon way to do division in Python. And so let's look at a few examples. We can add 5 plus 2. Is this going to show up? Well, the last ones we didn't have to print. There's no print statements here. They're in here. That's legal. That's allowed. Okay. So what we need to do instead is, I guess we'll just. No, wait. Okay. I'm going to do 5 plus 2. I'm going to do 5 minus 2. What are the other things? 5 times 2. 5 divided by 2. I'm going to press Shift and Alt. Then I'm going to select before the text. I'm going to write print. That's kind of cool, right?
That's pretty cool.
I kind of did not like VS Code until I found out you could do that. Then I was like, VS Code is my favorite. And everyone was like, what changed? And I was like, I learned how to use it. That and turning off the minimap. Okay. So I think this is pretty close to what we expect. 5 plus 2 is 7. 5 minus 2 is 3. 5 times 2 is 10. And then 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. Okay, so something that should just like completely freak you out and you should be terrified is that there's a decimal point in one of these and not the other 3. And I didn't write any decimal points. That like probably doesn't seem that surprising because humans do this all the time. That's like a really big deal for computers. And so in exchange for that being a really big deal for computers, you can just throw a second slash in there and we'll always give you back a round number. Why is that important? Can Carol execute a for loop 2.5 times? No. So sometimes you just need the closest round number and you have to figure out how to deal with it, right? So that's going to come up.
Why does it round down?
2.5 rather.
Yeah, it truncates. Why not? That's actually a great question, and fortunately the follow-up is the next thing I was going to type, which is that this is the remainder. So you can find the remainder always, so that's why it always rounds down. So the remainder is always positive. When I was learning division in like elementary school or something, they taught me to do remainders before they taught me to do fractional components. So actually, when I was in elementary school, I learned these two before I learned this one. I think it's because they were worried about containing my power levels. By the way, you don't need the spaces. I do that because I think it looks nice, but you can demonstrate that you don't need any spaces by taking them out. That's fine. It works the same way. Now, if you put a single space anywhere over here, everything will explode, and you will not be allowed to run your code. Oh, right, yeah. Okay, so print. This is not exponentiation. It's not. That's not 5 squared. The reason why is don't ask. This is exponentiation. Look out. Okay. Every year, and I don't ever remember where it is, students say, oh no, I had to go on the internet or ask someone who's older than me how to compute square root in Python. That's fake. I just showed you exponentiation. Here's how you find square root. For some reason, no one knows this, right? Now, you do get back the 0, right? But like, as a rule, square roots are not round numbers, right? So that seems reasonable. Like, what's the square root of 600? I don't know. Not quite 25, right? And so that makes sense to me. That seems allowed. I'm not too sketched out by this, right? So I don't know when you'll have to compute a square root of something. I'm assuming it'll happen at some point this term. Your brains will explode and you'll be doing like, you'll go into ChatGPT and it'll say something like, from math import square root, and then it'll do something like square root 600. And apparently that also works, but like, you can tell me which one of these you think is easier. It's fine. I won't be offended whichever one you say. I don't know, right? Because like, this is pretty sketchy to be using all that stuff, right? Math is not Carol. It's not a metaphor. Well, no, is math a metaphor?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a metaphor for life. And it's probably a metaphor for music. I bet that's what it's a metaphor. That makes sense. Okay. Here are the examples I showed you. We love doing 5-2. The caret is something else. Percent is going to be super useful to you pretty soon. It is useful on the next assignment. It is useful on checkers. One of the things you check is whether there's a remainder when something is divided by something else. So, folks, get used to looking for remainders. Here's a fun way you can use those. I can check to see if this number is odd by seeing if there's a remainder when divided by 2. Oh, there is. Is there a remainder when 6 is divided by 2? There's not. Now you can check to see if numbers are odd or even. Might that matter when you're making a checkerboard? Yes, Carol can't count, but it's conceptually related, right? So actually this %2 thing, that is identical to what I was doing with if beeper move, else move put beeper. It's the same idea, it's just done numerically instead of geometrically. Here's the two divisions, and I'll demonstrate this with a. Do you remember for I in range, that thing we did in Carol? This is allowed. What do we want to print? We'll print I. I bound that to control R, right? Okay. What's going on here? Wait, 22. What am I doing? Thank you. I was thinking about Taylor Swift, and she's feeling like you are 22. Everything's all right. Dancing like we're. I don't remember the song that well. Any Swifties?
This classroom has no interests and no hobbies.
I'm sure you have interests and hobbies. It's just like. Do we like Ice Spice?
There probably was a point in time.
Like
Point in time
in
is no longer.
2017 or something? I don't even remember when Ice Spice was.
It wasn't that long ago. Ice Spice was.
It's not my fault. There's not good music anymore. Did you all like Olivia Rodrigo?
I've never listened to it.
Never listened to them.
Okay, all right.
Because it's really fun to check out.
Are you like into folk punk or something?
Yes,
Like
yes. Just got.
I'm doing the tree. It's like not Taylor Swift, not Olivia Rodrigo. I think you were all okay with Sabrina Carpenter, but not Stans, right? Yeah. And then so like if it's not those three, it's folk punk, right? Like that's how causality works, right? So it's if Swifty, right? Right? Yeah. So we can write it as an elif. I'm not going to write the elif. That seemed like I'm trying too hard to be cool, which I'm not. I'm cool effortlessly. Okay. So this is not a typing class. Double entendre. It doesn't really make sense. But you can check to see what type something is. And there's things called floats, and they have decimal points, and there's things called ints that don't. So let's go ahead and type this out. So we have 5 divided by 2, 5 double divide by 2, and we'll do 5 and 5.0. Okay. I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt, and then I'm going to click the bottom row. I'm going to print the type of each of these things, and it's pretty hard to do things at the end of rows, but there's probably a way to do it that I just don't know yet. Ugh, doing things manually. Disgusting. Oh, this is embarrassing as a computer scientist. There's like random things popping up in VS Code. I hate it again. Oh, wait, no, I have to do 2 parens, right? Because I have to match both of them. See that? So I got 2 red parentheses. Okay, now they match. They're both magenta. Does that look magenta to y'all? Okay. And now we got yellow and magenta. Kind of interesting looking.
Is there a way to change those colors so they look even fun?
Most likely. I don't know. View. Appearance. I don't know. It's probably in here somewhere.
It's gonna be called theme.
You think it's called theme?
That's what it's called in R, which is the only other.
Open view. No, okay. No, I'm not getting sidetracked by comments. You're responsible for keeping me on task. Yes.
Little like shitty bolt thing on the back.
Shift Alt.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't work on Mac?
Well, I don't have an alt key on my Mac.
Multi-cursor, VS Code, Mac OS.
Like it starts right though. It's not that one actually.
Oh, maybe you don't even have to use Shift? Is it only Alt?
Well, we don't have all.
Yeah, well, that might tell us something regardless, right?
That's fair.
Okay, it kind of works with Option, except it like erases what was there.
Oh, that just might mean someone pressed Insert. Is that?
Well, yeah, wait. How do you do that versus the good one?
Okay, so I just press Insert, which is next to F12 for me.
What if I don't have insert?
I don't
I
know.
think that's what optional you're doing.
Insert on Mac. Keyboard. Well, I think I'm not used to my insert key being there. You might have to press function return to enable overwrite mode. I don't know. Just Google it. Anyways, yeah, why does Google want to know my location? They're like,
I got Option Shift.
Option Shift?
Yeah, the same.
That worked? Okay, Option Shift works. Okay.
Oh.
So it's just Option instead of Alt. I'm used to Option being instead of Command. Anyways, the thing this is called is multi-cursor. VS Code. And there's probably like a YouTuber that will talk to us about this for almost exactly 10 minutes because that's when they get the most ad revenue. No, there's not.
51 seconds. I'm proud of VS Code YouTube.
Reddit. Okay. Yeah, Visual Studio Code. This is probably a short because they were doing vertical videos for a while because they heard the kids liked it. Look at this. Y'all looking at this? Look how cool that is.
You can add multiple cursors using Control Alt
Control Alt up. Don't even know what that is. Control Alt down. Sure. Sure. Oh yeah, they're using keybinds for it.
If you need to make the same edit
Oh yeah.
multiple
We got them dollar
Now,
bills.
One of the lesser known shortcuts for multiple cursors.
That's
is
cash
Control-Shift
money,
L,
right?
Which will add cursors to all occurrences
Right.
of the current.
So anyways, if you want to be
What's your
influenced,
favorite editing trick? My number one editing hack in VS Code will always
just
be
follow @code on YouTube.
Wait, let's see.
Installing your own MCP server. I don't know what any of these things mean. Okay. Ooh, do they go live ever? Do they stream?
They stream.
Yeah.
They stream the new updates.
Well, I mean, you gotta keep the people posted. Okay. Anyways, I would like to remind us all we are on task today. See?
Yes.
Look. Boom. Check.
That's 2 check marks.
That's twice as many check marks as we had last time we had a check mark, right?
Well, last time you also copied the check mark 5 times.
So what you're saying is we could get a lot done. I could come into VS Code
Okay.
and I could do, I think it was like Control Alt. No,
We don't have multiple lines.
I don't have multiple lines.
So you can't multi-curse.
Let's see. So we'll do, and then we'll just make a bunch of lines. Alt Shift
Control Alt L.
Control Alt L. Oh wait, what's Control Alt L
You
do?
got it. Control L copies all
Control
similar characters.
Alt L. Okay.
That didn't work.
Why is it like quasi highlighted? Okay. Oh, that's not what I meant to do at all.
Just double the amount of lines.
There we go.
We're doing so good.
Oh, it's slow. And then you can select a block of them, right? Okay. Right. So we've got this, right? And then we can make pictures. You can make little ASCII art with Shift Alt. Be like, oh, these are eyes. Let's see. Right? And then I can probably like rectangular select the eyes. Copy that. Rectangle select some over here. And this is how art is created. Right? I'd make a little mouth here, right? Right, like look, it's a creeper from Minecraft or something. Yeah. Okay. It does look like a Geometry Dash character. Okay. Speaking of us being on task, which we are, if anyone asks, we can use single equals assignment to assign the values of variables. So let's go ahead and do that. So I can set check equal to 7, I think, and then I can print check. That's against the law. Okay. We can use x. And so that's x equals 7. Okay, so what can we do here? Well, when we use single equals assignment, what we're doing is we're just sort of creating a nickname for something. So if I want to create some value, such as 7 times 7, and then I want to add 4 to it, which will be, what? 7 times 7 plus 4? It's not a math class.
53.
That's right, 53. That is my third and second favorite odd numbers in that order. All right, so
735.
yeah, I think we can all understand that, right? So, whatever. The way I like to remind us to do this is here is something that's not allowed. So 4 has a value, and I cannot set 4 equal to 7. That's extremely illegal, because they aren't. Okay. That's not true. That's bad. So, in order for something to be on the left-hand side of single equals assignment, it must be a variable. Variables are names that aren't already taken, and you have to be careful about them not already being taken, because prints is available. There's nothing built in named prints. But if I name this thing print, then we immediately have a massive problem because print was already taken. So you just have to pick something that's not used already. So oftentimes people use X. Many of this, I think pretty much every letter in the alphabet is fine. A is fine.
With I. No, I have to leave.
Yeah, I is allowed. That's why we used it in Carol. Mm-hmm. And then oftentimes we're supposed to have meaningful names. So we can variable 7. Is something we can name this if it's supposed to have a variable name. Now, why are they called variables? Well, because their value can change, right? So I can take this and I can change variable 7 to equal 11 because 7 and 11 are, as we know, close cousins. So given the name, the value is not fixed. That's why it's called a variable. It is not called a constant. It is not called an alias. It is not called a nickname. We call it a variable because the value can change. There are also some novel ways in which the value can change, and this is where computers start to be computering. You can set a variable equal to an arithmetic expression over that variable. So I can say variable 7 equals 7 plus variable 7. That is allowed. I'm allowed to put the variable name on the other side if I'm going to calculate what this is and then store it. Okay? Oop, that's not allowed because I didn't cross the trash can. Not to worry. What is happening here? We have a variable 7 that is equal to 7. We print 4 plus 7. That's the 11. We have a variable 7 that is equal to 11. We add 4 to that 7. It is equal to 15. We have a variable 7 that we set equal to 7 plus the value of variable 7, which was 11. So that becomes 11 plus 4. Wait, no, that's not right. No, 11 plus 7, which is 18, right? Which is the third multiple of 6, so it's something we can all get behind, right? Or the sixth multiple of 3. Takes all kinds, right? So 18 plus 4 is 22. Now, was that kind of hard to keep track of? Yes. So I'm going to show us another hint. You can always just write down what you think something is going to be, and also print that. And I think this is allowed. Let's see. So I think that's going to be 15. I think this one's going to be 22. So you can speculate, and it'll print them both out. And you can also write little notes to yourself, like ooh-woo. That's one of my favorite notes. I know that all the cool kids still say that, and that's not me showing my age. So I respect you for acknowledging that I'm hip and in and with it, right? You can barely walk down the street these days without some youth with like a hat on backwards saying ooh-woo at you. And usually like doing this one a little bit too. That's pretty common. More so in Portland than up here, I've noticed, right? Anyways, weird thing. So this is allowed. Let me show you an example. This is I'll live code it. So I mentioned that I had my favorite odd numbers, right? So let's print out some odd numbers. We'll call it fairly odd parents, because there's parentheses. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right? So we're going to start with 1. And then we'll do like a for loop. We'll do something like 15 times. That's too many. We'll do something 7 times. Good number, right? We're going to print out what x is, and then we're also going to go to the next odd number by adding 2 to it. So usually the odd numbers are 2 numbers apart, right? So for example, 5, wait.
X plus equals 2?
Yeah, that's not Python. Sorry, I just started writing another language. Wait, is that allowed in Python? Can someone check?
X plus
That one's allowed?
X plus
Oh, okay. Wait, no, hold on. Sorry. I'm going to do a bunch of silly things all at once, so hold on to your silly hat. If you have a propeller beanie on, make sure the propeller is either fully stopped or fully moving, right? So what I do, I pressed play, I was ready to go big time, and nothing happened because I didn't ask for any fairly odd parens, right? Terrible, right? So you actually have to tell this function to go, because it's not like Corel, where main happens every time. If you want a function to func, it must be called to func. As they say, uptown funk. Never. I'm not going to say that. Okay. Nice try, me. Please never make clips of any of my YouTube lecture recordings. Yeah. We're live on stream all the time.
no camera though.
And the reason I stream is not specifically so I don't act like I'm not on a stream, right? It's not for me, it's for you, okay? Anyways, there's also a reason to not have the camera. Okay, so here's my fairly odd parens. And apparently someone said this works. And that's just the same thing, right? So
Really scary.
it's definitely, so this makes way more sense if your variable name is freakishly long. Freakishly long? Right? Oh my gosh, it even took a while to select that, right? And so this would be turbo annoying, right? Like, oh my gosh, can you imagine typing freakishly long twice?
40. Right.
That's way too many times, right? So, anyways, if your variable names are freakishly long, you may wish to say freakishly long plus equals 2. And you're allowed to add 4s too, they're still odd. Are they fairly odd? No, so I think this would be unfairly odd, because we're leaving out some of the fairs, right? Okay, 7's not in there, obviously. Okay. You can all do this, right? Did everyone get this code working? Did any of you do this?
I hope not.
Then what happens? No, it's fine. It does exactly what you tell it to do. It prints out 1 7 times and then adds 4 to 1 and doesn't show you the result. That's what you told it to do. All the time, students come to me, they say, my code's not working. I said, no, it's working perfectly. It's you that's broken, right? Bring it in. And then we don't have a hug because I don't touch students. Okay. Okay, so I don't touch adults either. Or I guess you're adults. I don't touch my family. I have a cat, and the only reason I get her is sometimes she has a little kitty sister, right? They're not sisters, they're adopted. And then we tell them they're sisters and they don't believe us, right? So sometimes when one of the kitty sisters is mean to the other kitty sister, that kitty sister gets extracted. And you pick her up like this, and she's like... anyways, it's very fun. Okay, so, speaking of doubling things, which we were doing, you can also check to see if 2 numbers are equal to each other. For example, it might be the case that 10 is equal to 5 times 2.
That sounds about right.
Does that sound right?
Or is it going to say that Do you need parentheses in it? Oh, no, you don't.
But you are welcome to put them, and I put them every time because I don't want to be responsible for remembering what you're supposed to do with parentheses, right? Here's a hint that I actually saw from a YouTube short, which is don't like. Okay, you can't say 5 times 2 equals x. That's like against the law because that doesn't make sense. So you can always put your arithmetic expression on the left-hand side, which for you is that side, so that you don't accidentally do something like this, right? So I think it is a little bit better to say 5 times 2, or here, we'll do this. We'll add an x. X equals 5 times 2. This looks a little too close to being possible, right? Because you are allowed to say x equals 5 times 3, but that's not what you mean to do, probably, because you just assigned it to a different value, so this will explode. You can check equality, and this is going to print false, and the f is going to be capitalized, because they're not equal. But it makes incrementally more sense to use the equal the other way, so you can't accidentally make the mistake. And this will give you a more heinous error. Let's just go over a little bit what some examples of equals are. We're just going to copy-paste a Rooney this in. And what do we think each of these are going to be? I think this is going to be true. True. I think this one's going to be true. I think this one's going to be false. Notice how true and false are changing color, and that doesn't happen if they're lowercase. True and false capitalized are built in, just like print. I think this one's going to be false, and I think this one's going to be 13. I'm a genius. They should let me teach this class. Yes.
Are there any other functions that are like you have to capitalize them instead of false?
So they're capitalized actually because they're not functions; they're values.
Okay.
In general, things aren't supposed to be capitalized. There's some like older stuff that's like around. So I was pretty surprised true and false were capitalized, but
Like would it both with the error message like let me know? As someone who
Yeah.
spells everything in my book.
right. So that explodes instantly. Yeah. But here, right. This is allowed.
Yeah.
So if you're like really into doing lowercase, yeah. There's some comments on some of the assignments. There's some freakishly long variable names in this class, and like the first thing I do is I think there's one place where it's called like G window _ height, and I'm like that's X, and they're like then there's G window _ width, and I'm like that's Y. So you are always allowed to do this, and you can even abbreviate it more, right? And if you want to be really weird, and I love doing stuff like this, you can assign f to true and t to false.
Does F and T not work by default?
Nope.
That's one that happened in other.
There you go. T is not defined.
Capital even?
Oh, you want capital?
Doesn't work.
Capital, my dear fellow. Okay, all right. Okay, so we're able to compare numbers to see if they're in bigger or in smaller than each other. So we'll do 1 and 2. So I think I can do this one. I think I can do, wait, no. Why am I not copy pasting this? I can't type. Okay, so some things going on here. This means greater than, less than. Less than doesn't work when they're the same, right? I don't have a less than or equal key on my keyboard. So if you want to see if something is less than or equal, by convention you throw an equal sign after it. So this is less than. And okay, fun fact, when I learned this the first time, I learned less than equal, and I learned this one first, which is, let's see, yes, that is less than or equal to. So this is true. And I didn't think that was a less than sign followed by an equal sign. I thought it was an arrow. So I assumed this was the other direction. And we see we got some squiggle here, so I'm about to be in big trouble. But that's fake. And I think the reason that's fake is because out loud we often say greater than or equal to. At least that's how I was trained. So you write the greater than, then you write the equal to. Yeah, and that avoids angry face. Okay, and then I call this one double equals equality. So what else are you going to call it? I'll write that out. Double equals equality. I say what I type and then what it does. And it says those things aren't equal. These things are equal. True, false, false, true, right? And then if you want inequality, you do exclamation point equals, and I don't know how exclamation point became used. I was used to doing this one, tilde. But yeah, it's exclamation it's exclamation point. So when do you use that? This is how you check to see if a number is odd. Or this is an even check. And then this is an odd check. And then if you put in your fairly odd parens, this is the remainder when we divide 7 by 2, and if it's equal to 1, it's odd. Just like us voluntarily taking a computer science class, right? Did all of you, were you all nerds in high school?
Yeah.
I keep being told, like, you read, like, the newspaper, and they're like, being a nerd is cool now, and I'm like 100% sure it's not, because I feel like I would have noticed if I became cool, right? Anyways, moving on. So when the Avengers movie came out, I thought that was gonna be a big thing, right? It's like comic books are cool now. No, actually movies are still cool. Comic books are still not cool. It was very hard on me. What are we doing? We did this already. You remember that? Let's write it. Let's do an even checker. Oh, okay. I should introduce one other thing. What's this little x doing there? Who put that there? So Carol can't count, Python can, so I can give Python an x, and it'll do whatever it wants with that x. For example, it can print that x, right? So I can even checker 2, and I can even checker 3. Nope, that's not 3. I can press my play button. I have bound that to Control R, but maybe you haven't. Okay, so then I see 2 and 3. Oh, wow, I can pass numbers around. Can I do this? Is that allowed? Totally is. And so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to put just an empty print between these lines so I can see them separately, right? Okay, so what do I want to do? Well, I want to check to see if x is even, so I'm going to see if x, when divided by 2, is equal to 0, I think that's even. I have to put it in quotes, right? Then. Okay. We see even. We don't see anything for 3 because nothing happens, right? That's, yes. So, then we're going to see, now I could write elif or I could write else here, but I'm going to do this one. If x %2 does not equal 0, we'll say this one. Then we're going to print odd.
There's also supposed to be an else. Or you first didn't get it.
Does it matter?
Does it? If it doesn't matter, then why does else exist?
Not a whole number. Because we can do this one. think that's all. Wednesday, right? See you Wednesday.
See you Wednesday.
Enjoy your checkers.
Would you like to know?
Cool. I have to stop streaming.